Bishop Berkeley proposed the startling notion that there is nothing actually standing behind the representation of something. The representation is the thing. That's why he said, to be is to be perceived. Only while we are perceiving something is it actually there. If we are not perceiving it, it isn't there. Of course, this has all sorts of logical problems. It destroys object constancy, for one thing. There is no explanation of how things come and go from perception and return to perception. And what are these perceptions made of? What laws apply to them? What about energy conservation, and so on? But Berkeley backstopped his system with God. God never sleeps and can perceive everything everywhere forever, so it's God who guarantees an objective world. When we stop perceiving something, it ceases to exist for us, but it continues to exist for God. When we turn back to that thing, it returns to our perceptual field. According to these ideas, we are actually seeing ideas held in the mind of God. So, all the properties of things are assigned by God. He is responsible for color and everything else. This is problematic, of course. Why are some people blind? If there is no physical world, nothing to cause physical blindness, what is the cause of blindness other than God? God wills a person blindness, it seems. Hardly very godlike. Kant didn't see how we could claim that the world in itself had any knowable properties. We imposed, he believed, our mental interpretation of the world on the world. More thorough idealists then wondered why we needed any world external to the mind at all. Why not conclude that mind makes everything? The world is mind's construct, not some mysterious thing existing separately from the mind and somehow supplying the mind with the means to reflect it in the mind as an idea of that thing. How can non-ideas out there, in the world, cause ideas in here, in the mind? Isn't that a substance dualism of non-ideas and ideas? How do they coexist and interact? It's bizarre that Kant held onto the concept of a world outside the mind even though he stripped it of everything, leaving it as 100% unknowable. Proper idealists understood that nothing existed outside the mind. The mind and its constructs are all that exist. Ontological mathematics is about defining the mind and its constructs strictly as mathematical, and then we can get rid of the whole physical world. There is no such thing. There is just a mathematical mental world of mathematical mental operations that humanity has decided to interpret as material. This materialism is a stunning misinterpretation and a flagrant man-made invention. Ironically, most humans, and especially scientists, consider matter real and mathematics to be a man-made invention. Now and again, you will come across the question, is math invented or discovered? This is the same as asking whether math is an unreal, man-made abstraction or the real, concrete, ontological truth of existence. Science is predicated on the temporal and contingent. Math is predicated on the eternal and necessary. Do you see how different these worldviews are? Science goes with matter. Math goes with mind. The Greek atomists said that all that existed were atoms and void. Ontological mathematics says that all that exists are sinusoidal waves, arranged monadically. There are no material atoms, and there is no void. There is only a singularity, full of monadic minds and their constituent sinusoids, which are basis thoughts. This is a system of total mathematical realism. Absolutely everything can be directly traced back to the syntax and semantics of basis waves. Nothing is magically conjured into existence. Everything is grounded in and derived from real mathematical properties of basis thoughts, sinusoids, both syntactically and semantically. Wikipedia says, according to Kant's transcendental idealism, Space and time are mere forms of intuition, which means that any quality that can be attributed to the spatio-temporal objects of experience must be a quality of how things appear to us rather than of how things are in themselves. The early modern atomists had imagined atoms, with their primary properties, traveling in space and time. Kant relocated space and time to the observing minds. He stripped space and time from the world. So what was left of the world? When Schopenhauer sought to refine Kant's system, he concluded that Kant's mysterious world in itself was actually a mental entity, which he called will, which was all about blind, desperate striving. The will to exist, to survive. This was what underlay all things. Others might call it God, but, if anything, Schopenhauer regarded it as the devil, since he saw it as malevolent, causing endless suffering and misery.